There's a moment, subtle, quiet, when she shifts. Her voice softens. Her body leans in. Her eyes drop, not out of fear, but something deeper. A surrender, not to your words, not to your looks, but to your presence. You didn't demand it. You didn't perform for it. You simply were. There's a kind of man who doesn't seek permission. He doesn't broadcast strength. He embodies it. And when he does, the feminine responds without being told to. She doesn't think, should I submit? Her body already decided. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most men don't want to hear. You can't fake this. You can't act grounded. You can't pretend to lead. You can't memorize lines and expect devotion, because her nervous system will feel the lie before her brain ever catches it. So what causes the shift? Why do some men naturally provoke softness, while others spark resistance? This isn't about control. It's not about manipulation. It's about alignment, becoming so internally solid that her only instinct is to melt. And if you've never felt that shift before, it's not because women are broken. It's because you're not anchored yet. Most men move toward women. They pursue, perform, and position themselves, hoping to be enough. But the man who truly captivates, he doesn't move toward anything. He becomes the thing that's moved toward. This is the energetic shift. You stop trying to pull and start becoming the pull. It begins with one change: dropping the need, needing approval, needing attention, needing outcome. Every ounce of need leaks energy. It's felt, and it repels. Why? Because neediness isn't about emotion. It's about orientation. It says, I'm not enough until you choose me. And that orientation makes the masculine collapse inward. But when a man sources his sense of worth from within, everything reorients. He stops orbiting. He becomes the center of gravity, and that gravity isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It's a stillness, a certainty that pulls without force. It feels like, he doesn't need me, but I feel drawn to him anyway. Women feel this before they understand it. It bypasses logic. It speaks directly to their nervous system. Because when you stop asking for something, you start radiating something: security, clarity, presence. And presence is the opposite of performance. It's not about how you look or what you say. It's who you are when nothing is being said at all. That's the man who holds space, not because he's trying to, but because he is space. She doesn't surrender to your tactics. She surrenders to your stillness. That's the shift from need to gravity. And once you embody it, she stops resisting, because there's nothing to resist. But there's one trait that flips the dynamic completely. The thing that doesn't make her feel comfortable, but makes her feel pulled. A man who seeks to please is not a threat, and not in a good way. He's easy to like, easy to predict, easy to forget, because pleasing energy is negotiation. If I do enough, maybe I'll be enough. But women don't submit to negotiators. They submit to sovereigns. A sovereign man doesn't barter for love. He doesn't over-explain, over-apologize, or overextend. He is the source of his own standard, and others adjust around him. Why does this matter? Because the feminine doesn't relax in response to comfort. She relaxes in response to clarity. When your boundaries are clean, your no is calm, and your identity is non-negotiable. She feels something rare: safety. Not the nice guy safety that avoids conflict, but the rooted safety of a man who can't be moved by need. She doesn't test you because she's cruel. She tests because she needs to know you won't collapse. Women don't want a man who agrees with everything. They want a man who knows who he is, and even when she's spinning. This is the moment where submission begins, not because you demanded it, but because your integrity made rebellion pointless. She doesn't surrender because she's weak. She surrenders because she's finally met something stronger than her chaos. And that strength isn't force, it's containment. You don't resist her emotions, you hold them. You don't react to her storms, you anchor them. This kind of man, calm and fire, clear under pressure, is rare. He doesn't need validation. He filters it. And the moment you shift into that frame, her body will feel it before her mind does. She won't say, he's sovereign. She'll just feel safe enough to let go. There's a part of you you've been told to bury, your rage, your hunger, your ambition, all of it labeled too much, too intense, too dangerous. So you shrink, you smile more, you soften your voice, and slowly, without noticing, you become safe but forgettable. Here's the truth. Women don't desire what's harmless. They desire what's contained. There's a difference. The man who has no edge feels weak. The man whose edge controls him feels dangerous. But the man who masters his edge, he's intoxicating. This is what Jung called integrating the shadow. It means confronting your darkest instincts, not to unleash them blindly, but to own them fully. Because when a man is capable of destruction but chooses restraint, that energy is felt, and it ignites something ancient. She senses, this man isn't harmless. He's powerful, but he's choosing to protect me. That contrast, danger wrapped in discipline, creates polarity. It's the electric gap between masculine depth and feminine surrender. She doesn't consciously crave danger. She craves capacity. Capacity for dominance, capacity for protection, capacity for control over yourself. The edge is not about being violent. It's about being capable and choosing virtue because of it, not instead of it. Here's what most miss. Women don't need to see the chaos. They just need to sense that it's there and that you've tamed it. When you walk into a room with that kind of integrated intensity, you don't need to prove anything. Your presence says it all. And she'll feel it, not in her head, but in her pulse. Because she knows, if the world broke loose, you wouldn't run, you'd lead. But here's what changes everything, not your posture, your tone, or your words, but the moment you become the one thing no woman can resist. There's a moment when everything clicks. You stop performing, you stop chasing, you stop proving, and for the first time, you just stand, not with arrogance, not with ego, but with an unshakable knowing, I am. That shift from performance to presence is the masculine axis. It's not a tactic, it's not a trick, it's a transformation. And when it happens, you'll notice things around you begin to shift too. People treat you differently. Opportunities arrive without force. Women look at you longer, not because of what you say, but because of how still you are. Your energy speaks before your mouth opens. This shift doesn't come from reading a quote or watching a video. It comes from choosing yourself so many times that your nervous system rewires reality. You stop flinching, you stop seeking, you start embodying. And that embodiment, it changes how the world meets you. She doesn't submit to your words. She submits to the part of you that doesn't need her submission, because real power doesn't demand surrender. It makes surrender feel safe. And once you access that frequency, you don't chase attraction. You become the source of it. So what actually makes her submit? Not charm, not tactics, not effort. It's presence, the kind that doesn't flinch when tested. It's power, not performed, but contained. And it's polarity, the unspoken dance between strength and surrender. Women don't crave perfection. They crave certainty. A man who knows who he is. A man who doesn't reach to be chosen because he's already chosen himself. That's what makes her lean in. That's what makes her soften. That's what makes her submit. Not out of pressure, but out of instinct. This shift doesn't come easy. It requires stillness in a world that rewards noise. It requires integrity in moments where people fold. And most of all, it requires facing every part of yourself you were taught to hide. Your rage, your sadness, your fire. Not to act on them, but to own them. Because only a man who's met his shadow can truly lead from his light. You don't need to be louder. You need to be clearer. You don't need to be more liked. You need to be more anchored. And when you are, the world feels it. She feels it. You become gravity. And everything else, attraction, desire, surrender, becomes effortless. Because when a man is fully himself, a woman doesn't resist. She remembers. She remembers the ancient feeling of safety. She remembers what it feels like to relax, to trust, to open. And if this video made something click for you, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share this with someone who's ready to shift